Exclusively on Secular Media Network, this is the Gaytheist Manifesto.
Hello and welcome to the Gaytheist Manifesto, your source for news, commentary, discussion, and debate at the intersection of the atheist movement and the LGBT rights movement. I am your host, Callie Wright, and this episode is the third in an occasional series where we forget that the world sucks so much and decide to just talk about some good things that are happening both in the LGBT and atheist communities. I have sort of a panel for today's show. I'm super excited. I have host of the By Any Means podcast, Trav Mamone. Trav, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
And friend of the show, personal friend, and all-around awesome badass, Ari Coleman. Welcome to the show.
Woohoo!
That was a great intro. Okay. All right. So today we're talking about good stuff. The last few episodes of the show have been pretty heavy. Even the compassion episode was pretty positive, but it was still kind of laying it on thick there as far as, the feels go. So, and you know what? Damn it. Queer people can laugh and trans people can laugh because, life can be terrible, but life is not always terrible. So, figured we'd talk a little bit today about ways in which life is not terrible. So, first off, I figured that the three of us could just share some personal stories, good things going on in our lives. I think there is kind of the stereotype of, the trans person whose life is just absolutely miserable and everything is bad versus the trans person who is like the complete and utter success. And obviously, neither of those archetypes are correct. We are complex individuals just like everyone else. We all have our ups and downs. Obviously, if you've listened to this show at all, you have heard lots and lots about both from me. But so I figured we'd start the show off by sharing some personal stories. So, Ari, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of really great stuff happening. And by the way, I'm on this drug called testosterone, and apparently it makes your voice go crazy sometimes. So my voice will crack, and feel free to laugh because it is hilarious. But I just
Vitamin T,
wanted everyone to know, I
is.
don't have strep or anything. I'm just, I'm becoming a 12-year-old boy. So, yeah, on that note, so I've been taking testosterone for a little over a month and a half now, and I've been, posting things on Facebook about it just because it's mostly what's on my mind these days is transition and trans stuff. And I've just been overwhelmed with the amount of positive feedback I have gotten and just people just inboxing me just to say, hey, I think you're really awesome for doing this. I'm so happy that you're happy. And also people reaching out to me for advice, other queer people who are thinking about transition or other sorts of things. And I've just been so touched and overwhelmed by how truly kind and sincerely loving everyone has been to me. And since being on the podcast last, I invited people to friend me on Facebook, and I've made a lot of new friends through the podcast, and they've all been really cool to me. And I also want to thank you, Callie, for doing the Thanksgiving episode, because that was a whole bunch of family love for me. I recently actually had to cut off contact with an abusive family member who was my closest family member who raised me. Started over transition, but ended up being about more than that. But I won't go into the details because it's supposed to be happy. But it actually is a good thing because I feel like this is a really good step for me in, being able to, be in a healthy place in my life. So the Thanksgiving episode was, really meant a lot to me because it was my first Thanksgiving without really a biological family. And I just felt so loved being surrounded by the Gaytheist community. Just chatting with people in the chat room and listening to Callie and her guests. It really, really meant a lot to me.
That's so cool. I mean, I'm really glad that it meant a lot to you. That's, I mean, that's exactly why I wanted to do it. I mean, if you heard me tell the story beforehand about, Thanksgiving for me last year, I mean, I spent it sleeping in a basement, with no one. And, I tried to laugh it off like, oh yeah, I just slept, but like it actually hurt a lot. So, I know what that feels like to an extent, and I just, wanted to make sure that didn't happen to somebody else. But kudos to you too for being able to stand up for yourself and set boundaries. That's so huge. And I think, I think a lot of us are worried about, kind of tearing the Band-Aid off because it hurts, there's no way around it. But, unfortunately sometimes that's for the best. So I think you deserve a lot of credit for,
Thank you.
For, being able to do that. And, and if you're happier now, then that's even better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not easy because this person raised me and is my closest family member, and obviously I feel really bad about having to do this, and I wish that we could have a closer relationship. But I think it's better for both of us, and we may or may not, continue contact in the future. But for the moment, I think this is definitely the healthiest thing for me, and probably for them as well.
Yeah, well, and I think there's something to be said for, you don't necessarily want to burn a bridge and say, F you, I'm done with you, that kind of thing. Like, I mean, you can leave the door open and just say, hey, like, this is where I'm at now. If you decide that you want to, come my way a little bit, then, maybe we can have a conversation later on. But, you put up that boundary of, this is how far I'm willing to come to meet you, and you need to be willing to come the rest of the way, or this just isn't going to work. And
exactly,
and I think that's awesome. That's kind of where I've left things with my aunt. I was very close to sitting back like an F you, I'm done with you in my life kind of thing. But I'd rather leave that door open. One day, maybe she'll realize how happy I am. She'll have some kind of epiphany or whatever, and then maybe we can have a conversation. So I don't know, but that's awesome. That's good stuff. I'm really glad to hear it. Yes. Trav, what about you? What's going on with you?
Nothing major except that I got a new microphone. Woo! It's a Toner TN 12326 professional condenser sound podcast studio microphone. I got it last week from Amazon for about $17. I think the full price is like 30 something, but I think they were starting their, Black Friday sales early. So I got it and it works great. It's one that you plug into the microphone thing on your laptop. It's not a USB. The last microphone I tried to get was I think it was like a blue Snowball Ice one. That was a USB, and my computer couldn't recognize it at all. So yes, hopefully I will sound a lot more professional and not sound like I'm recording all of my podcast episodes on a phone.
Or a potato.
Yeah.
Have you heard Trav's podcast? Is that what you thought they sounded like?
No, it doesn't sound like that.
Shots fired. Damn.
No,
okay.
Oh my God. Seriously.
Oh no, that's awesome though. New gear is always good. I always get excited. I kind of just retooled my whole setup because I got 2 laptops donated to me by a friend who works in IT, and his company was just going to throw them away, so he got permission to give them to me. So my Skype thing works out a lot better now, and yeah, new gear is always a reason to be happy. So super stoked for you on that one.
Yes.
So I guess that leaves me then to go ahead and gush and make everybody really uncomfortable with disgusting, gushy, touchy-feely, lovey stuff. So a couple episodes back, I don't remember which episode, and I feel terrible for this. Listeners will remember I had Celeste on the show, who we met because she's a listener to the show. She's local here in Cincinnati, well, Northern Kentucky, but whatever.
Same diff.
Right, it basically is. So I'd posted in a local trans group here, just, hey, know a lot of folks here identify as atheists. This is a podcast. If if this sounds like something you're interested in, maybe you should check it out. And she did, and she became a listener and eventually became a patron. And for folks who contribute $4 or more per episode for the show, we do a Google Hangout monthly. So shameless plug, patreon.com/The Gaytheist Manifesto.
Do it.
So
I'm the hype man.
Right, exactly. So we had started to get to know each other, and actually, like, the consistent, well, like, we had been joined by several other people, but like the consistent trio was like Ari, Celeste, and me. So like we'd kind of gotten to know each other, and I considered both of them friends at that point. And so one day I posted something on on Facebook about a really frustrating experience I had on a dating site where, people don't look at your profile. They don't read anything. Like, they see a picture and they say, "Oh, you're so hot. You're so sexy. I want to take you out," blah, 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 being real super sweet. And then, like, when the time comes to exchange phone numbers, I'm like, by the way, did you read my profile? And the conversation basically ends there. Because they never do, even though it's literally the first 2 sentences. Like, "I am a transgender woman. I still have a penis," just to get that out of the way. Like, if that's a problem, you can move on.
See, I have the exact opposite thing happen to me. I've had guys on OkCupid, hit on me and want to sleep with me. But I say, "I should probably let you know that I'm trans and I still have what I was born with." And they're like, "I'll try anything once."
Okay.
Oh, God.
Well, that is, I don't know if that's better or worse.
Right. You can be my science experiment. God. Which, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I have gotten those kind of messages. I mean, I had someone once say, like, I said, like, "I'm trans," and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm into that too." Yeah, it was really uncomfortable. But so, in response to me posting that on Facebook, Celeste sent me a Facebook message and basically, just long story short, asked me out. And, like, funny story, like, I had been kind of stalking her Facebook and thinking about asking her out. So it turned out that we were both free that night. So she came over and I cooked dinner, and we're a thing now. I have a girlfriend that I am super, super happy with. We're really good for each other. She's super encouraging of me in all of the things that I do with activism and trying to lose weight. And she's kind of on the tail end of a weight loss journey herself. And so she's really helping me out with that, being super encouraging and super loving towards me in that. And she's kind of working her way into activism. She got up in front of folks at Northern Kentucky University Transgender Day of Remembrance and read a poem that she wrote and gave a speech that she wrote. And I was so, so super proud of her for doing that. And it's just been awesome. Between her and I. So that's my good news, because it's been awesome. I'm just going to keep saying awesome over and over again.
Awesome.
My girl is awesome, girl.
Yeah, well, and I thought Ari's response was the greatest on the Facebook status. It was like, "You two have some splaining to do."
Yeah. Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, it's we moved fast, but that's okay. We've spent a whole lot of time just kind of talking and getting to know each other and stuff, and it's been good. So I love you, Celeste.
So now, of course, Callie is going to, stop doing the podcast and become obsessed with her girlfriend, and we're all going to lose Callie.
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. Well, no, what's funny
Bye,
is...
Callie. It was a good ride.
Right.
In that case, everybody can come to my podcast where I'll be single and getting drunk and complaining about how miserable life is.
Oh, Trav. I want to hug you. Yeah.
This podcast.
Oh, man. The By Any Tears podcast. Oh, that was really mean. I'm sorry.
Ah, that's cool.
I love you, Trav.
Love you too.
Oh, man. So, yeah. So, we got good stuff going on. Glad to hear that. So, We are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with more good news on the Gaytheist Manifesto.
Hi, this is Trav Mamone of the By Any Means podcast. The By Any Means podcast is a weekly show where I interview guests about the intersections of social justice and humanism. Just go to www.byanymeans.com, that's by spelled B-I, to hear the podcast and read the blog. Because, hey, aren't we all a little bi-curious?
Do you know where Saskatchewan is? Probably not. It's in Canada. If you do, you might know a city named Regina. In Regina, there's a studio. And in that studio, there are, at least once a month, a bunch of skeptical atheist geeks and goofballs who get together to do a podcast. We are the Brainstorm crew, and we're trying to help spread a bit of reason and critical thinking while still having fun. Never taking things too seriously, but still not accepting everything we're told. We go through different topics, exploring them in depth, and often disagreeing. We try to stick to provable facts, and we never trust in myth. That's why we say we're woo-free since 2013. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spreaker under Brainstorm, or check out our website, brainstormblog.net. I can't promise you'll always agree with us, but I can promise you'll have fun listening to us.
Before we jump back into the show, it's time to thank our patrons. Thank you so much for believing in us enough to contribute to us financially and for being a part of this movement. Patrons of the Gaytheist Manifesto have access to all sorts of cool stuff, like a big shout out on the show, premium content, including an audio journal I've decided to keep documenting the more personal stuff I don't dive into on the show, and an exclusive patrons only hangout once a month. If you're so inclined, head over to patreon.com/The Gaytheist Manifesto to become a part of this movement and support the show. Thank you. Now, basically, we're just gonna, we went, did some research and looked for some news stories to, try and find some good stuff happening. So, let's just keep the round going. Ari, do you wanna open up with a story?
Yes, this story is amazing. So, if you haven't seen on Twitter the account Florida Man, go and do it now. It is hilarious. But this is like the actually good and not disturbing version of this. So this is from Broward or Broward. I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
I think it's Broward.
BrowardPalmBeach.com. Florida man declares gay war on Christmas. This is awesome because this is perfect for this podcast because it is a queer-related thing and an atheist-related thing.
Yes.
So there's this guy in Florida named Chaz Stevens, and you may have heard of him before. You may not know his name, but it says in the article 2 years ago, but I feel like it was last year, but I guess probably the article's correct. He made a Festivus pole out of PBR cans and wanted to put it up in Florida's Capitol building, saying that it was an expression of his religion and that if they were going to have a Christian display, then they need to allow his PBR Festivus pole display.
I do remember that.
He threatened to sue them if they didn't allow it, and they freaked out and let him do it, which was amazing. So this year, he is doing something very similar, except he has, instead of making the pole out of PBR cans, he's now making it out of a rainbow flag. So he is petitioning to be able to put a rainbow flag Festivus pole up, not only in Florida, but also in other states as well, including in Little Rock, Arkansas, my hometown. So I'll be very excited if I get to go back for Christmas and see this rainbow Festivus pole in the Capitol building. So he said the reason why he wanted to do this is he was actually inspired by Kim Davis. Kim Davis made him so angry that he wanted to put a gay pride pole right next to baby Jesus. And so it starts the gay war on Christmas.
And the pole has a disco ball on top.
Yes, it does. Listen, I'm gonna have links to all the articles that we talk about in the show notes, and I would encourage everyone listening to go and look at this Festivus pole because this thing is effing amazing.
And you can also he also has a website selling these Festivus poles, and all the money that he makes from it is going to organizations that help prevent LGBT bullying in schools. So I think that is amazing. This guy is great.
Yes, there is literally nothing about this story I am not 100% in love with. Man, this
Yes.
is awesome. And what's great is like the way that they took the picture of this thing, you can see this gigantic, like ridiculous sized Christmas tree in the background.
Yeah.
It's just rainbow flag, disco ball. My God. And does it say how much these things are going to cost? Because like I kind of want one.
I didn't look at that, but if you go to the article, there's a link to his website. And I'm sure it'll tell you. I'm sure you can like pay with credit card or something if you want to buy one.
The
I'm thinking about getting one,
humanity.fund is the website. Combating social injustice with humor. And Festivus Poll 2015 Rainbow Gay Edition. Oh my God. Okay, so they're launching an Indiegogo project. It hasn't launched yet, so there's nothing on the site saying. We will keep up with this story, and when these things go on sale, listeners to the Gaytheist Manifesto will know where to find them.
Buy you a rainbow Festivus pole.
Oh my God, I love this
Put
so
it right
much.
next to the nativity scene at your neighbor's lawn and see what happens.
Right, the nativity. Like, have you heard about the nativity scene where they have the Bill of Rights instead of baby Jesus?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah. It's actually, and I think it's somewhere, it's either in Dayton or like Northern Kentucky. It's like somewhere close to Cincinnati, because I thought I remembered seeing it on the local news the other night. It was just, yeah, God, people are ridiculous. Okay. Trav, what do you got? You got a story for us?
Yes, I do. This was posted a couple of days ago. I'm sure you all know about Raif Badawi. I think I pronounced it right that time. Yes, Raif Badawi, the Saudi blogger who was arrested and is being flogged apparently for blasphemy, because for some strange reason, God is so powerful that they need to make laws to protect him from getting his feelings hurt. But
God's feels matter. #
yes,
Oh.
yes, God needs a safe space.
Oh, there's so many levels to that.
Waiting for the hate mail to roll on in.
I have literally yet to get a single piece of legitimate hate mail. Just throwing that out there for anyone
Wow.
listening.
You're too awesome even for the haters.
No way. I'm not doing stuff right until I get some.
Right, definitely. Well, according to a Swiss newspaper, Badawi could have his sentence of 1,000 lashes suspended. Amnesty International has yet to confirm it, according to this article. Let's see here. The Swiss Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Yves Rossier, I think that's how his name is pronounced. He told a Swiss newspaper a royal pardon is in the works thanks to the head of state, King Salman. I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher this name. Bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. I'm sorry for any Saudis out there if I totally butchered that name. But yeah, it's nothing confirmed yet. It's more like a possibility, but a possibility is better than nothing right now, don't you think?
Well, yeah, and haven't they kind of put a stay on it, because like, if memory serves, wasn't it supposed to be like they were going to give him 100 lashes and then like wait a week and then do 100 more? And
Yeah,
like,
I'd heard that as well.
Yeah, and then because I think they've only actually done it once, which, I mean, obviously that's horrifying. But
Yeah, that's bad enough.
But after the first time, and if memory serves, it was kind of like they kind of were cagey about it, but it was kind of definitely the international pressure that stopped them from doing it. What's interesting to me about this article is it doesn't really say what the reason for the pardon was. It'll be interesting to see how they do that, because I can imagine them trying to save face with the conservatives who actually believe that this stuff should happen. The folks who have political power that think this is the right thing to do, versus people who care about human beings and aren't horrible people who think that this is an absolute travesty. It'll be really interesting to see how they work that whole thing out to save face. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely beginning to earn that spot on the the Human Rights Council for the UN, right?
Yeah, good old Saudi Arabia, where you get your head cut off for saying the wrong thing. That's very human rights, pro-human rights, isn't it?
But yeah, I mean, this is good news. At least, at least there is one person here who might see some actual justice. It looks like, I guess, his wife and their kids live in Canada, so they are hopefully safe. So that's at least, that's positive too. So yeah, 1,000 lashes for criticizing Saudi Arabian clerics. That's good. Okay, so next article I am going to talk about, and this may be kind of a quick one, but I am going to talk about Adam Lambert because Adam Lambert is, if folks don't remember, he's a singer. He was on American Idol. I don't know if he actually won, but he got pretty far up, and he eventually got noticed by Queen, and he's actually done tours with Queen because he's that good. And I mean,
Queen is doing tours?
Yeah, they did like a world tour last year and it was like they billed it as Queen plus Adam Lambert, I guess. For copyright reasons.
Because nobody can replace Freddie Mercury.
Seriously, that's what I was just thinking. I had no idea they did tours.
No, I've seen videos and he's good. Like, I'm not
as good as Freddie.
No, well, no one is though. Is the thing. Like, let's not set our bar too incredibly high there. But so the Family Research Council, who are some of the biggest like anti-gay bigots or whatever, had circulated this petition that got like 20,000 signatures that Adam Lambert shouldn't perform in Singapore for New Year's this year. And so Warner Brothers, Adam Lambert's record label, circulated a petition in his favor, and it got like 27,000 signatures. And Adam Lambert basically just kind of threw his middle finger up at them, like, "Yeah, I'm playing anyways." And I really like what he said because I feel like he was very circumspect and very diplomatic, and I'm not sure I could have been in his situation. I am a uniter, not a divider, and I believe in celebrating the human heart and spirit. A little bit about the show. There's no better time for celebration than at the moment one year changes to another, so I hope you'll celebrate the future and 2016. Yeah, just very like, meh, I'm performing anyway, screw you guys kind of thing, which I'm absolutely in love with.
Screw you guys, I'm gonna perform.
Exactly. And, I am not a huge particular fan of his music, but from what I know of him as a person, he seems to be like a pretty good guy. And I just thought, like, I mean, anytime someone who's famous and has a platform like literally thumbs their nose up at somebody, like, it's Focus on the Family, not the Family Research Council. But
it's the same thing pretty much.
Yeah, you're right. you're absolutely right.
I really don't know the difference between the two.
No, you're 100% right.
I really don't think
there
is a difference.
No, not really.
I think one of them has a pedophile as a leader.
Oh, did. That was anyways,
how's that for family?
Happy news, happy stories, happy news, happy stories. Ari, what do you got next for us? Oh, that's okay. Ari, what do you got next for us?
Okay, so this one's a tearjerker. Get ready, guys. So there was someone, we don't really know who this person is because it was posted anonymously. Some articles say it was a man, some articles say it was a woman. I really don't know how they would be able to tell because it's just an anonymous post on Craigslist. But somebody posted an apology letter on Craigslist. It's entitled "Dear Young Gay Couple in 1993." And this person is apologizing for the way that they treated a gay couple that they saw in public in 1993. They felt so bad about it that now, more than 20 years later, they wrote an apology, a public apology. Obviously, they didn't know the people personally, so they can't apologize that way. But this was the only way that they could feel like they could get closure, and it is beautiful. I'm going to try and read it without squeaking to not make it funny, because this is sweet. Dear young gay couple in 1993. You were sitting together on the curb near the entrance of Worlds of Fun. I was walking in with my church youth group. I was 17 and bigoted, taught that you were wrong and sinful. You were happy, sitting close, having fun, smooching a little, probably waiting for some friends. We walked in as a group, excited, adventurous, privileged. My friend pointed you out with a gasp of surprise and disgust. I looked over to see you together, relaxed and confident, and I said out loud, "Ew, gross." I don't remember your reaction, and I don't know if you heard me. As we walked away, I felt a prick of shame. Outwardly, I'd acted as if it was you who should be ashamed, but for over 20 years, it has been me who carries this shame. I'm writing this today to apologize for my behavior. Dear young gay couple in 1993, I am so sorry. I am so sorry I treated you as second-class citizens and ruined that sweet moment you were having. I want you to know that shortly after this youth group trip, I entered college and my whole world changed. My learned bias and my belief in homosexuality as a sin was flipped upside down as I was exposed to new people and new ideas. I have walked away from the religion that taught me to hate. My life is now one of empowering and advocating for young people. 20 years later, I carry my shame as a reminder to check my privilege. I consider myself an ally, and I hope my advocacy over the years has righted some of my wrongs. Wherever you are, I hope you're still sitting close with a loved one and living a wonderful life. With a heartfelt apology, a kid who learned the truth. That is so beautiful.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. Oh.
It takes real guts to admit you were wrong.
It so does, especially and it shouldn't. Like that's the thing that's kind of sad is like this shouldn't be exceptional. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously it is, and I think this. It's. You know, there's the cynical part of me that wants to be like, well, dude, the damage is done. Sorry, you can't absolve yourself by posting a, random anonymous message on Craigslist. But, at the same time, I remember being young and doing stuff that probably hurt people, stuff that I probably didn't even realize hurt people. And obviously, I'm a very different person now than I was then. And, and I think, there's probably a couple people I might go back and apologize to, if I knew where they were, what they were doing, or, anything along those lines, because, there were times when I was a kid when I could be kind of mean. Nothing that I was struggling with internally excuses that. But yeah, I mean, Trav, you're absolutely right. It absolutely takes guts to admit you're wrong, and so completely too. Like a lot of times you'll get sort of like half apologies, like, I'm sorry this hurt you, or I'm sorry you were offended by this. And like, I'm
sorry if something I said came off as rude.
Yeah, it's totally a non-apology.
Non-apology.
But like, I mean, this is like super heartfelt. Like this guy or gal or this person just 100% owned up for what they did, and I think we can all kind of learn a lesson from that, because I think as often as a lot of times people who do the kind of activism that we do, sometimes we can kind of convince ourselves that we're above problematic behavior and we're above being mean to people and hurting people's feelings and stuff like that, and we're not. We're just as prone to that as anybody else. So I think it's a good lesson for us to be able to own up to when we do stuff that may hurt somebody, even if it's unintentional. Intentions matter. Intentions definitely do matter, but they're not the only thing that matter, because sometimes you can unintentionally do real harm to people. So yeah, very heartwarming story. I think it's also a really great illustration of, if someone says something horrible to you or does something horrible to you, don't lose hope that they might change their mind in the future. Sometimes they might not be in the right place, or they might not be educated enough, or they might not have that personal experience with someone to know that what they're doing is harmful. So people can change. So, if somebody says something or does something harmful to you, just keep that in mind. Absolutely.
Don't lose hope.
I could not agree more. Trav, that brings us back to you.
This is kind of bittersweet. On November 14th, a transgender Israeli, May Peleg, I think her name was, she committed suicide November 14th. Although there is, that's not the good news. This is the good news coming up here. Recently, the Israeli Supreme Court ruled in favor of her will. She requested that she was to be cremated, and her mother challenged her will in a Jerusalem district court. But let's see here. On November 24th, the appeal was rejected. So, it's bittersweet, but it's like, okay, well, at least something good came out of this, tragic story.
Yeah, and you hear a lot of stories about, there was, we've all heard a couple of stories about, people, trans folks dying unexpectedly and their families just completely erasing who they were. Mm-hmm. Dressing them in the wrong clothes at their funerals, putting the wrong names on their headstones and the funeral programming, and misnaming, misgendering, and all that kind of stuff. And that's, it's horrifying, because you would think the time that you can set all of that stuff aside and just respect and remember someone as who they were, it would be at their funeral and in the wake of their death. And apparently, a lot of times trans people don't even get that consideration. And it's, going back to the religion thing, it's not even just trans people too. It's, atheists and non-believers. And,
right.
I attended a funeral of a friend who, he probably would not have self-identified as an atheist. I think the label that probably fit him best was apatheist. He was just a person who never paid attention to religion. And you would have thought that he was this hardcore, devout Christian by going to his funeral. And, there's part of me that's like, the funeral is for the family. It's not for the person because the person's gone, right? But at the same time, I think it's wrong to erase who that person was, because, I didn't see my friend remembered and celebrated that day. I saw a person that a whole bunch of people wanted him to be celebrated that day that wasn't him. So I think it's cool to see a Supreme Court actually stand up and say, no, like, this person's wishes are going to be respected. That's super validating and super encouraging. I think, it'll be interesting to get the opinion of conservative politicians on this, since they seem to love Israel so much.
It's true.
Oh boy. Okay. So that brings us to me. And the article that I have, this is from the Advocate. Actually, I think all of my articles are from the Advocate because I love the Advocate. Is a trans woman who works for Apple, who's a programmer, and she actually used to work for Facebook, and she is one of the folks responsible for I think it's 58 gender options that Facebook has. So, her whole crusade is basically to make the tech industry trans inclusive, which, that has personal resonance for me. My day job is in tech. I will say the company and the environment that I am in, I have felt no hostility. I think the company that I work for is actually pretty great about that whole thing. But, that's me being lucky. That's not a sign of the industry. Especially when you get into programmers, they actually call them brogrammers, which
that was that.
Yes, that was the noise that term deserves. So in basically the article just talks about her experience at because she used to work for Facebook, and she actually was one of the folks who tried to get Facebook to change their real name policy, quote unquote. She was unsuccessful in doing that, and apparently they were super hostile to that idea, which I think we said when we were talking before the call, I get the underlying reason why they want a policy like that, but it doesn't seem like it would be very difficult to implement a policy in that way that wouldn't be harmful to trans people, or exclusionary to trans people, because a lot of trans people have simply left Facebook because of it, because it's that or be outed. And as we all know, unfortunately, sometimes being outed puts your very real safety in danger, especially in countries outside of the United States. Sometimes even within the United States, but especially in countries outside the United States where it's illegal to be trans and you can actually be killed for it, and have either the police look the other way or it actually be a crime. So this lady is awesome. she is all about changing tech culture. And she's talking about practical stuff. Like, there's a section in the article where she talks about how Apple has these really great trans-inclusive health benefits. So if a trans woman goes on leave to have bottom surgery, they're going to be out of work for a month. So are you going to be able to afford to take that time off? Do you get paid medical leave? Do you get paid vacation to be able to do that? Because, you know, having the access to that is great, but you can't use it if you're not getting paid for a month, you know, unless you're rich. So just real practical kind of nuts and bolts stuff that I think a lot of folks may not think about. So I think it was awesome. And, you know, she relates some experiences about how, I don't think this was at Facebook or Apple, but she talks about when she was working at some other companies, basically, like, her first manager told her that she was underperforming, and she was like, okay, cool, tell me what I'm doing wrong. And, like, he couldn't give her any specific examples. So after she went to HR, HR was like, okay, tell her concretely what your expectations are and how she's not meeting them. And he didn't do it. So they moved her to a new manager, but the new manager's boss was her old manager. And new manager apparently said very bluntly that he was getting pressure from the old manager to be extra harsh on her. And basically you can talk to, I mean, women, queer people in general, trans people in general, gender nonconforming people, kind of anyone who doesn't fit gender stereotypes, I think, will kind of, tell you that they have these experiences often, especially in the tech world. I think that the tech world kind of gets a reputation for being super progressive, when sometimes I think the culture at these companies maybe isn't so much. So, I think she is super awesome. Her name is, I've gone through this whole thing without saying her name. Her name is Brielle Harrison. So yeah, she is super cool. And
she just got the Cali bump.
Right? Yep. Which, like, because I'm an international superstar, yes. She's like, she is on her way at this point.
Well, you're a big deal on the internet, so that counts.
I'm a super big deal on the internet. Listen, y'all need to Google me. I said that to somebody joking the other day and immediately just felt dirty. I can't even joke about that. That's awful. Don't ever say or do that to anyone.
Hey everybody, this is X.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Felicia. We're the Utah Outcasts.
3 out, unashamed, and active atheists living in Utah.
And we are personally inviting you to let us love your ears each and every week.
As we take the news, current events, and pop culture and give it a little twist.
A love twist, with consent.
And we'll be joined each week by a special guest to tell us what makes them an outcast like us.
Come find us.
The Utah Outcasts.
On podhell.com, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play,
Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
And on UtahOutcast.com.
We finally bought that domain off the kids handing out mixtapes in the mall.
Come be an outcast with us.
Take care of yourselves out there.
Bonne nuit.
And you're welcome.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn?
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
story. What do you got for us next?
Okay, this one, it goes back to what I was talking about with my personal good news with feeling closeness with my chosen family. So I found out about this really awesome website. It is yourholidaymom.com. The tagline is offering our LGBTQ... I can't even say my own acronym. Offering our LGBTQ youth a virtual home for the holidays. So what they do is it's a group of moms, real life moms who have children, who post a letter every day to this website. And it's basically just supposed to be for any queer, trans, any kind of person really who feels like they aren't supported by their biological family or their legal family, if not biological. It says, welcome to your holiday mom, an online space where supportive moms gather to post a holiday message to all LGBTQ children, teens, and adults who are without family support and who would like a stand-in holiday family. We know that not every mom is ready to accept her own LGBTQ child exactly as is, as hard as this is for us moms here to imagine. So we have written to extend our love beyond that of our own family. So they started posting, I think, last week, and I think this is the second or third year they've done this website, and they post a letter from a different mom every day, and I think it's running through New Year's, and it's just basically a letter from the mom saying, hey, I'm really sorry that, your family isn't supportive or that you can't be yourself around your family because you're afraid of the consequences, but we support you and we want you to know that you're loved. So I think this is totally awesome because there are so many people out there who would love to hear something like this, and now they can.
Oh
yeah,
my
I'm
God.
looking through the letters right now.
I am too, and I'm crying.
Oh.
Like while you were talking about it, I was like, oh, where do we actually see the letters? And I hit the home button, and I read like the first paragraph, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
So if you want to feel all lovey-dovey, go to this website for sure.
Oh yeah, this is awesome.
This is so good. I'm gonna read the first letter, I think. The first one that I see here. This one was posted December 1st. So this one was posted the day that we're recording this on Tuesday the 1st. So, dear holiday child, once again the holidays are upon us, and while I'm planning my activities and my menus, I'm thinking of you and others like God. I can't even get through the first paragraph.
This is precious.
I'm thinking of you and others like you who, for many possible reasons, cannot be with your family or loved ones this year. It may be because you've come out and your parents couldn't deal with hearing that you're LGBT or Q, or maybe your chosen partner is not accepted in your family home. It's hard to leave behind those traditions, but I commend you. I think you are so brave for being true to yourself and standing up to those who would have you betray who you are in favor of making themselves feel more comfortable. It might help you to know that there are moms out there like me who would be proud to have you in my house to celebrate the holidays. My husband and I live over 700 miles away from our adult kids, and it makes me very sad that I can't be with them during the holidays. I make a point to call each one and remind them how loved they are. I want to remind you that you are loved as well. It's bittersweet to hear their voices and know that they're having a lovely holiday and I can't be there with them. I know you must feel that way about your families as well. Thanksgiving is not an expensive meal, but we invite everyone who has no other plans to stop by and share it with us. It's rare that we have family visiting, so all of the, quote, orphans in the neighborhood are invited. Single people, people who have no family, young people who are estranged from their parents, and those who have no other plans are encouraged to come share our table. We are grateful to be able to share love and encouragement to some of our lonely friends. I don't always make a turkey and a traditional Thanksgiving meal, but often prepare different ethnic meals to share. This year I'll be making tamales and some Mexican dishes that I love to prepare. I live in the mountains, and every year we go into the forest and cut down a small pine tree and drag it behind my horse back to the ranch. We decorate the house with lights and ornaments at Christmas time and hang our stockings above the wood stove that's always burning to warm our home. I love the way the tree makes the house smell and how the glowing lights transform our little house. I make special treats for our pets and horses, and even though they have no idea of the date, they know that they are getting special love and attention from us. We often go to our neighbors on the day after Christmas and share all our leftover food with several of the families nearby. If you were with us, you could participate in the blessings we share throughout the holiday season with our friends, neighbors, and those in need in our community. I sincerely hope that you find a new hope and tradition to share with a friend, partner, or loved one this holiday season. If you can't be home with your family, spend the holidays with your friends and chosen family. Make the holiday warm for someone else, and it will be warmer and more joyful for you. I send you warm hugs and gentle thoughts for a wonderful new year. I want you to know that I love you, and it does get better. You make it better by being in the world. Love, your holiday mom.
Aww,
Holy shit,
love that.
you two. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's really sweet. I'm so thankful that somebody thought of this kind of idea, because there is definitely a big need for this in our community.
There so is. And I actually, I got added to a secret Facebook recently of someone who's actually trying to do something kind of similar to this. And basically what they're trying to organize is folks to send holiday postcards to people who don't have families. And I'm gonna try and do something using the podcast to help them out, but I don't want to announce any details yet until it's the details are made concrete. But yeah, this is amazing. this totally made my night. And yeah, so I have one more. Basically, a funeral home sued to get personal details about a trans woman whose funeral
that was
going to
be my other story.
Oh, was it? Okay.
There we go.
So yeah, so we can end on this one. This is good. I think we've got a lot of good content here. So basically what happened was a judge basically shot back and said, "No, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. You don't have the right to know that if someone doesn't want you to know that." Which again, going back to the story about the trans woman from Israel, obviously, there are tragic circumstances in that someone has died, but, I think one of the many indignities that trans people often suffer is not being in any way respected after death. Especially when that death has, other circumstances surrounding it, like suicide or murder or anything like that. So I think this gives me a lot of hope for, the government saying, no, like, we're going to respect your wishes because you're a human being and you have rights and you have the right to determine, what happens to you and what happens to your personal information. So I'm a big fan of that.
Good.
Well, Trav, before we go, why don't you? I know you were on literally the last episode, but before we go, just plug for me one more time. Let us know where we can find your podcast and all that good stuff.
Sure. Just go to www.byanymmeans.com, and that's by spelled B-I, and there'll be links to if you go to the website, you'll read my blog, and also there'll be links to my podcast in iTunes and Stitcher. I haven't uploaded it to Spreaker yet. Do I have to get like a separate RSS feed for Spreaker? How's that work?
It's a great question. I don't know. Because I have the good fortune of being on Secular Media Network. They actually took care of a lot of that stuff for me. I manage the Spreaker account, but I don't manage the RSS feed or the iTunes or anything like that. I just log in and post it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the honest answer is I am not 100% sure. But yeah, go check out Trav's podcast. It's really good. I was on it once. And yeah, so, and of course the fact that I was on it once, that's all the validation you need. God, I gotta stop that. People are gonna really start thinking that I'm that arrogant. That's terrible. I am not that person.
I am.
Stephen Colbert persona.
Right, that's what it is.
Instead of being
Callie
a Republican,
Colbert.
Callie's persona is being an arrogant something.
Callie Colbert. I love it.
Yes.
All right, did you have anything you wanted to plug before we go?
I don't have a podcast or a website. I'm just a Joe Schmo. If you want to friend me on Facebook, I would love that. I am Ari Coleman. First name's Ari. I'm the person with the short hair kissing the cat in my profile picture as my cat Forrest.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it.
And yeah, I would love to talk to anybody. And if you are having issues with someone in your life who is not being respectful to you or is being abusive to you, please feel free to reach out and contact me. I'm not a mental health professional in any way, but I do have personal experience with it, and I'd love to just be a listening ear and give you some advice if you'd like it. So there you go.
Absolutely. And I can vouch for Ari's awesomeness. And that, my friends, is going to do it for this episode of the Gaytheist Manifesto on Secular Media Network. I again want to thank very much my guests, Ari and Trav. You can find the show on Facebook at facebook.com/thegaytheistmanifesto. You can email us at thegaytheistmanifesto@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at GaytheistCali, and you can find the show on Twitter at TheGaytheists. If you'd like to support the show, support the activism that I do, you can go to patreon.com/thegaytheistmanifesto to make a per episode contribution. If financial support isn't a thing that you can do, that's okay. You can also leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That helps more than you probably think it does. That's actually a very big help. So before we go, I want you to know that if you're lost, you're hurting, you're scared, if you feel like no one cares and no one understands, you need to know there's a community out here that loves you, cares for you, and knows that you're capable of amazing things and that you are worthy of love. If you're struggling, please don't be afraid to reach out. Until next time, friends, this is the Gaytheist Manifesto.